90-degree mark, mainly clear to partly cloudy, overnight lows in the mid to upper 60s. Saturday, partly sunny, a slight chance of showers or storms across the north, our high mid to upper 80s. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Radio station.
KERX, Paris, Fort Smith, from the Bush and Bushlight Studios. This is ESPN 95.3.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas! I love everything here! Give me that thing here! Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
Hit that line.
.com.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson.
You do a fantastic job on the radio. There's no one else in this league I'd rather listen to, so keep up the good work.
And Ty Richardson.
You do a good job, and I'll listen to you guys.
2 more quarters, and after that, most of you will never play this game again.
D-Mac, hold on, Matt Ryan. D-Mac not looking back, touchdown. How about that Heisman, Mark Jones? How do you like it? Wide open again.
All right, hold on, it's almost halftime.
Welcome into halftime as we get you set for the weekend, or get you set for the end of your week, whichever way you want to look at it. We are less than 24 hours away, make it 23 hours away, right on the nose from kickoff at Jerry World, where Arkansas tries to end the 7-year losing streak to Texas A&M. And you have a sense this is almost where the season starts, with the first 4 games of the season this year being the quote-unquote easy portion of the schedule. And now you're about to get into the ribeye. Really, you got the off week next week, but then things still get even tougher. Arkansas and Texas A&M, where I think, look, Ty Richardson back in the ESPN Arkansas studios, when you look at how Arkansas has been the favorite for 3 out of the first 4 weeks, and even the game against Ole Miss going into the second week, you really felt that Arkansas had very much better than just a fighting shot, just because of the situation of the Ole Miss program, really near the level where Arkansas has been the last couple of years. But now you're in a different position. Now you are not just the underdog, but a heavy underdog, and a team that has been looked upon as a little bit of a laughingstock across the SEC. With last week's loss to San Jose State, you might try to put that in the rearview mirror if you're Arkansas, but that's the perception now of Arkansas football, losing to a team like San Jose State, which you were a 21-point favorite against, and now you look at the line of Arkansas, Texas A&M, and it's almost completely flip-flopped, 23-point underdog to a Texas A&M team that, Ty, I have a feeling, though, the final score is what matters, of course. You know, when you look at, remember the reaction after Arkansas's win against Portland State. What, just 7 points? That's it? That's not enough. There were more complaints from that victory than there were rah-rahs or Atom Boys. And you just get a sense from this ballgame, Ty, and we even saw it from a couple of their guys that were quoted in the Houston Chronicle. They don't just want to win this game. The Aggies are coming in expecting to dominate Arkansas in this football game.
Coming for blood.
Yeah, they're coming for blood. They're coming for the sort of victory that isn't just a win, but also has a little more of a cosmetic effect based upon the final score. You know, and you picture, you know, if you're an Arkansas fan, yeah, you're sick of where your program's been for about 5 years now. You feel like you're not looked upon seriously across the SEC, and you're in a rebuild. So if you look over at Texas A&M, they too have a second-year head coach in Jimbo Fisher, and that's a program that for years, Ty, was always touted as, well, they're a huge university, all sorts of facilities, a lot of money, but they're still Texas's little brother. So you get away from the South, you get away from the Big 12, you get away from Texas, so to speak, and they got to be looking for some sort of validation in the SEC West, in which still Texas A&M is not viewed at the same level as Alabama or as LSU, and even with a loss to Auburn now, they're not viewed upon as the same level as the Auburn Tigers. But they're still ahead of Arkansas, well ahead of Arkansas in the on-field product for the last few years. It doesn't mean you haven't had some tight games, although they've been losses to the Aggies. And this is a Texas A&M team that's got to be licking their wounds after getting shoved around by Auburn last week. It doesn't portend very well for Arkansas, but then you also, I get the sense that, don't you feel like you saw the floor for Arkansas last week? Do you really think that Nick Starkel can play worse than the 5 interceptions that he threw against San Jose State? This is a good Texas A&M defense, a very good Texas A&M defense that Arkansas is going to face. And if you had trouble moving the ball against San Jose State at times, you're going to have even more trouble moving the ball against a really stout front seven Aggie defense.
This is a put-up or shut-up type of game, and not just for Arkansas, but for both teams. You mentioned Texas A&M licking their wounds after a loss to Auburn at home in a game that didn't play particularly well until the offense sort of came alive in the fourth quarter. There is more pressure, as we've talked about this week, than on Texas A&M than there is Arkansas. And you may say that's not necessarily the case, but it is. If you look at it with Jimbo Fisher's $75 million contract, the plaque that was already inscribed with the national champions, just waiting to put a year on that. The fact that they've already lost 2 games early this season. And if you look at the rest of the schedule, Phil, their probably best case scenario with LSU, Georgia, and Alabama remaining is to go 7-5. And that's tough, man. That is a tough way to go. So if they were to not play well in the first half or this game gets a little close, I know that Arkansas's found a way in so many different areas to lose this football game the last 7 years or so. But there's going to be a lot more pressure mounted on Texas A&M. And yes, they have probably the talent gap, and it's quite wide. It's not probably, that's a sure thing. Yes, Jimbo Fisher is a better coach than Chad Morris. See his national championship ring amongst his other accolades. But you can hold that true to yourself. You can hold that close to your chest that maybe, just maybe, this team will be and I'm talking about Arkansas, this team will be so ticked off about how they played against San Jose State. So many people motivated them that, and then but on the other side of things, the pressure's not on them. It's on Texas A&M. Maybe the combination of that will not necessarily lead to a win, but a close ball game tomorrow.
Do you think Nick Starkel played his worst game? You can't imagine any worse than 5 interceptions. He did have some good moments. Another game over 300 yards, albeit with a ton of opportunities to throw the ball. He had to hang in there as much as possible with an offensive line that was bending, if not completely breaking at times in pass protection. I mean, this is a big front seven for Texas A&M. They're going to come after him. And if you felt like Starkel maybe even put pressure on himself to make certain throws, or felt pressure at times to try to fit balls into really tight windows that just weren't there, last week it's going to get tougher against Texas A&M this week, and really for the rest of the season. That San Jose defense was not highly touted, and yet they were able to put pressure on Starkel and force him into a lot of mistakes. I'd like to say, Ty, that you saw Nick Starkel potentially at his worst last week, and that it doesn't get any worse than that. But you're facing good defenses right now, and this right here, this is the best defense that Arkansas faces over the first 5 games. A team that was good against against Clemson. I mean, look, the Clemson Tigers had trouble throwing the ball against Texas A&M. They don't have trouble throwing the ball against nearly anybody, but yet Trevor Lawrence only threw for 268 yards. So, 23 points. I'd like to say that Arkansas is able to buck up and play a good game, and you never know because of the way that these games are played. These two teams, for some reason, always play it tight. But I don't know. I'm getting a bad feeling going into tomorrow based upon what you saw last week. I know I wanted to just, rip the box score up from last Saturday with the Spartans and say, hey, focus on Texas A&M, but that it's still stuck in the back of my mind. It's going to be back. It's going to be stuck in my mind all season, no matter who you play the rest of the year.
We're taking score predictions throughout the show. 877-377-6963 is the Cherokee Casino hotline. Brett from Spiro texted in A&M by 21. But Arkansas covers. That line has since moved to 23.5. So if you think Arkansas is going to lose, but still lose by 23.5 or 23 or less, that means they would cover in this case. Phil, imagine, and I'll frame this the best case scenario for Arkansas fans, and I'm trying to frame the game tomorrow so we don't just talk about them going blown out, but things going Arkansas's way. Imagine if they would have played Texas A&M after the Colorado State win. Ride it high, cocky, clubbed up, all that leading up to the week. Yes, you played horrible against San Jose State, and you look like a pathetic football team, but that deficit, that loss margin would have been just umpteen times worse if you had played the Aggies the following week. So what this game allowed to do, and again, there's not a lot of positives you can take out of San Jose State, but what you can take out of it is the fact that this team realized, hey, we're not where we need to be yet, even though we beat a okay Colorado State team. Okay is a strong word that I don't even know some college football people would use, that we need to refocus. We are not even close to where we need to be yet. Hunter Yurachek mentioned at the Little Rock Touchdown Club, he thought that they had turned the corner around after Colorado State. He thought this team was going to turn it and go for it and get better, and they didn't. They took a giant step back against San Jose State. So what that's going to do is that's going to lock in everyone in that locker room. Yes, there might be a little dissension based on the fact that they lost to a pathetic football team, but it's going to lock most of the dudes in. It's sure as heck's going to lock the coaches in. That is one thing for sure. And so you have even, I think the analogy, and I think the example that a lot of people are using is the fact that Nick Starkel ripped up his Bieber shirt, Phil, which I don't know how much of an actual effect that will have on his gameplay and his preparation and everything that goes into tomorrow's game. But I think that's the analogy that people are saying, maybe this team will focus now. Maybe they're done with the club dub, with the Bieber and all that stuff. I mean, fans were ripping him last night for going to the Razorback women's soccer game, like tweeting, like the soccer account put out a picture of him, Phil. I don't know if you saw that, and people were tweeting at him like, showed a lot more love for the San Jose defense, 5 interceptions, definitely don't deserve this pick, trash hogs. Like, these guys are trying to get refocused, these guys are trying to get revamped, and they're trying to put on a competitive show at least against Texas A&M tomorrow afternoon in Jerry World, and all fans have been doing all week is just ripping them. How's that going to help anything?
Well,
at all?
Yeah, absolutely. You agreed. It would probably be best if most of the team stayed off of social media.
That too. Well, he didn't put it up, so blame the Raceback Soccer Twitter account.
Sure, yeah, that's part of it. You know, it's almost like it's like a self-inflicted wound.
Twitter.
That says it correctly, you know. I mean, and you know, Nick himself, I mean, it's a way to connect to fans in ways that you never could before, whether your team's good or bad. But you do open yourself up to not criticism, but just being made fun of in certain ways when you make a big deal of your Nick Starkel, of your Justin Bieber T-shirt, and then make a big deal out of it being crumpled up and thrown in the garbage, as if it means something. I mean, that maybe that just means he played one really awful game while wearing the thing. But I think it'd probably be better if they stayed off of social for many reasons. Because people on our show and on a lot of other shows have admonished the fans who've tweeted negative things to the players. But you know that's going to happen, and it's going to happen here, and it's going to happen in every other large fan base with passionate fans, and sometimes passionate fans are passionate a-holes. You know, I mean, so I mean, it's not a fan's job to necessarily pump up a player to try to get him to a victory and whatever. But I think it affects these kids when they look at their feeds. Stay off the feeds. Focus on what you can. Not what you can handle, but what you can control.
Yeah.
And if you feel a little hurt by seeing some of the comments that your own fans are tweeting at you, then put that Twitter account on pause for a while. I wish I could do that. Honestly, is just not even open the darn thing up these days. But I've got no reason to not do it, and yet I still open the thing up now and now again.
Got a couple more score predictions on our Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and all that. P Monks 33 says, I've got a feeling that A&M wins big, 53-17 or so. I don't just see Arkansas hanging around. Joshua Rugger says, Arkansas 31-17, easy dub, party in Dallas. Phil, I think Joshua might have already started the party if he thinks Arkansas is going to win 31-17. I just don't see. I mean, maybe it's unfair to say there's no way this team's going to win this football game, but every Arkansas media member that I've seen put out a score prediction to this point has picked the Aggies. And I know that's not the say-all, be-all, end-all when it comes to predicting the correct score of the football game, but I don't think anyone outside of this locker room, and I'm talking fans, media, anyone, has confidence this team's going to win tomorrow, which, again, can bode well if you channel it, if you funnel it the right way. But at the same time, when you have all that pressure against you, and I was just talking about that there's no pressure from the perspective of the fact that no one expects them to win the game and stuff, but then also the fact that that can eat at you a little bit. It's a two-way street, Phil.
Well, it is a two-way street. Now, I got to be honest. When this last month, when we've done these Friday games, we've asked you for your score predictions, and we've done our own score predictions. I don't think we've been even close. I don't think most of our callers or our listeners or our texters or anybody have been close on what you've predicted the final score of any of these games, and that includes the 55-34 win against Colorado State, in which I think a lot of people were surprised that you got up to 50 to begin with. So, is it more realistic now in our minds because Arkansas is the heavy underdog rather than the heavy favorite? And I know you're still an underdog against Ole Miss, on the road in the SEC, but I still felt like that was two programs that were near the same position. It's much different now facing an Aggies team that, this would be the speed bump for them in the SEC. This is the one chance to have a look at a speed bump. If you got a program that's looking ahead to Alabama the week after or 2 weeks after tomorrow, that's looking ahead to playing against Georgia and LSU way at the end of the season. This is the one chance to play against a team that might look at you just as the speed bump, which is exactly what the writer in the Eastern Chronicle called you.
Yeah, Brent Zwermerman. I'm always going to butcher his last name. Got another score prediction here, Phil. Lawrence Holt IV says 42-38 Arkansas. He says, yes, I'm delusional, but the only way we pull off a miracle is if we win a shootout. Starkle is going to have to play the game of his life. As an Arkansas fan listening, you better hope that he uses every single bit of positive emotion and fire heading in to tomorrow morning and afternoon, because he's going once again, his former teammates. He hasn't played against them yet. I know we talked about Rakeem Boyd has. Chad Morris has gone against his alma mater last year, but he's the guy that you hope just comes and plays out of his mind, makes all the correct decisions, all the right reads, all the right throws. Because, Phil, I think Lawrence is correct. If this dude doesn't play extremely, if not one of his best games tomorrow, I'm talking like the Wake Forest performance he put up in the bowl game in 2017, they got no shot to win this football game because that defense is going to give up some points.
Well, we always point to that Wake Forest game, the bowl game that Texas A&M played. That was a loss. They lost that game because the Aggies couldn't stop Wake from scoring for a good long time. Adam from Wynn does make a good point. Well, no one thought that Arkansas would lose to San Jose State either. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's why, that's my point here. I mean, a lot of people are making these predictions of a blowout loss to Texas A&M, unless it's Justin. Justin in Ocala says 38-34 Razorbacks. Matt from Fort Smith just texted in with a 27-24 Arkansas win for his prediction.
We're getting a couple of wins. Arkansas.
So, I mean, it's. I don't know how much it's based upon reality or based upon the thought that, that they've usually played tight games with these two programs. I don't know if you look at the thought that, hey, Kellen Mond is not a sure thing. Not a sure thing at all. I mean, he might be a little bit better than last year, but still the numbers are not mind-blowing. And that, that there might be the thought of the Jimbo Fisher teams recently playing down to the level of competition. So maybe there is a little bit of reality thrown into there, but I still think reality is the betting line, and the 23-point underdog status is the reality right now.
And we spoke about TJ Hammond speaking up on social media. He is allowed to play in this game. He's back from suspension, talking about stop doubting us, people keep doubting us, and having just the attention and the eyes still on this football team in a negative way. If that's the case, if that's truly the case, there has to be a step, your foot in the ground, and change the tide. We still haven't seen that in this program. You saw it in Brett Bielema's program. Second year, LSU, 17-0 at home. That's when that team made their mark, and then they followed it up with a 30-0 spanking of Ole Miss the following week. There has to be a point, Phil, in Chad Morris's tenure where this team just says enough is enough, and you haven't seen that yet. I still hope for all things holy and and for all the love of God and glory that we eventually see that, because I don't want someone to just get fired for, I have no ill will towards Chad Morris. Chad Morris has never done anything against me that would, make me want to get fired. But if his teams continue to do what they did last week against San Jose State, that's the direction we're trending. So at some point in time, Phil, this team has to step up, put their foot in the ground and say, enough is enough. We're done with this. We're going back to the old program, the old ways, where Arkansas was a respectable team. It has to be one of these games this season, or it's just going to continue to go downward, and there's going to be a hole that's so deep, so hard to get out of, that Chad Morris and his staff, they won't be able to.
Aaron Torres joins us later on from Fox Sports Radio and the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast for some picks, also a little basketball talk with him, FOMO Jomo Friday as well, and we've got our picks for later on in hour number 2. Plus, it looks like Ty and me have settled on a punishment. It's like the reversal of a trophy. It's a punishment.
Are you okay with that?
I think I'm all right with the hot sauce wing challenge. I think we can pull that off.
Okay.
As long as we got some cold Coors Lights to go with it, I think we can pull that off too.
Cool.
It is a football Friday. We want your score predictions for Arkansas, Texas A&M. Cherokee Casino hotline, good for a call or a text at 877-377-6963. We're brought to you, as always, today by Breeden RV in Van Buren. It is the last chance to save thousands this month on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. It was a week ago. Ty and me were out there, and Ransom and the guys in the crew had were expecting a big crowd. I think the weekend went pretty well after the rain on Friday kept some people away. They do have the 21-foot travel trailer right now starting at $999.5 and new fifth wheels up to 35% off. And everything new coming with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. That's Breeden RV in Van Buren. Start a new adventure at BreedenRVs.com. We will come back on this Football Friday after the break on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
The best midday show in the Natty State. You're listening to Halftime. This is the Morning Rush.
Play calling is not what caused Nick Starkel to throw 5 interceptions. I still question the fact that a quarterback gets an opportunity to throw 5 interceptions. That, to me, is still head-scratching.
You wanted to see Ben Hicks?
Put John Neighbors in. 5 interceptions? You need to come to the sideline and think about it for a little while.
On that 5th one, he did, I guess, technically.
Yeah,
yes.
But how do you even get the chance to throw 5?
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3.
Have you been thinking about new windows or vinyl siding for your home? Then think Superior Siding and Windows. Superior Siding and Windows has been offering low-maintenance, energy-efficient products in the River Valley for over 40 years. Superior Siding and Windows also specializes in sunrooms, patio covers for carports, and much more. Call 646-7888 for a free in-home estimate. Superior Siding and Windows, 646-7888. Superior Siding and Windows. Look for us in the Yellow Pages and like us on Facebook.
The weather is hot and the deals are hotter at Hertz Car Sales. Hertz offers a wide selection of high-quality cars, SUVs, or trucks, and amazing customer service where you can buy direct and save on every car. With inventory arriving daily, why not make the short drive to 2810 Midland Boulevard or give them a call at 783-1722. You can also check them out on the web at buyfromhertz.com. Proud to serve Fort Smith and the River Valley. Stop by Hertz Car Sales today. You'll be glad you did.
Arrow Bolt and Screw is Fort Smith's distributor of bolts, screws, fasteners, anchors, and much, much more. They have a wide variety, stainless steel inventory, and metric fasteners. This family-owned and operated business takes great pride in providing their valued clients with high-quality products at low, affordable prices. Arrow Bolt and Screw can be found at 5424 Wheeler Avenue in Fort Smith. That's Arrow Bolt and Screw. Call 646-0540. That's 646-0540. Arrow Bolt and Screw.
Mentor's Lumber True Value has a simple way to help rid your home of pesky insects. Right now, get a 1.1-gallon jug of Ortho Home Defense Insect Killer for just $9.99 after a $3 in-state rebate for True Value Rewards members while supplies last. This easy-to-use spray with ergonomic handle and extended reach wand kills existing bugs and prevents new bugs from entering your home, all in a single application. Find this bargain of the month and other great deals at Metters Lumber True Value. Certain exclusions apply. See store for details.
Make-A-Wake Boat Sales and Service is not only where you can get your next Yamaha or Skeeter boat, they also carry a huge selection of bait and tackle. Find whatever floats your boat at Make-A-Wake Bait and Tackle. They carry tons of top brand lines of rods and reels and everything you need to gear up your tackle box, from Strike King, Kitech, and Zoom to Sunline and War Eagle products. Make finding your next Yamaha or Skeeter boat an easy catch with Make-A-Wake Boat Sales and Service in Van Buren, 4806 Alma Highway in Van Buren, and makeawakeboats.com.
Advanced Mechanical Performance, your premier UTV, off-road, truck, and Jeep repair facility. Whether it's a lift kit, an oil change, or a complete makeover of your machine, go see Cody and the gang at AMP and get it right the first time. These guys know what they're doing and are doing what they know. Advanced Mechanical Performance, 3201 Wheeler Avenue in Fort Smith. Call them today at 434-4161.
I'm Lisa Hinton, owner of Champ Hinton Enterprises. For nearly 50 years, the Champ Hinton name has stood for one thing: selling quality cars in a different way, taking the mumbo jumbo out of the process and making customers happy. All these years and tens of thousands of cars later, we're still here, doing business the way Champ Hinton taught us, selling to generations of families who've become part of our family. Champ Hinton Enterprises, the area's premier used car dealer. Take the Arcoma exit off I-540 or go online at champhinton.com.
ESPN 95.3. Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Arkansas on the ground as Hammond. Oh, Hammond's breaking free. It's going to be a foot race. One man to beat. Touchdown, Arkansas! 88 yards.
We're taking score predictions for Arkansas, Texas A&M here on Halftime, and Halftime is brought to you by The Fence Man. If you own a business that needs more security or just needs more curb appeal, a new fence from The Fence Man can give you both. That's with The Fence Man, specializing in custom installations, and they've been doing it for over 40 years. Ask about gates, ask about controlled access card readers. The Fence Man will be there for a quick, no-obligations quote. The number at The Fence Man, ask for Henry, 479-782-3936. The Fence Man, a division of Quantum Property Services. Stephen texts in, 28-17, Aggies over the Razorbacks. Alan from Mountain Home, hosting that a man's pride is not lost in oceans of losing. Interesting. It's an interesting one there. There has been an ocean of losing of late for Arkansas. And we got a text from the 479 that thinks a 24-21 Razorback win with the team playing inspired defense, getting pressure on the Aggies, and that Connor Limpert kicks himself a game winner. Wouldn't that be nice? Our callers call us on the Cherokee Casino hotline. The first up today is Arthur in Russellville. Good afternoon, Arthur. You're on Halftime.
Yeah, I have a prediction and a comment. Comment's real simple. They're not playing as a team. It's just, they're not. And until they start playing as a team, well, then this is what we're going to get. It's just, I don't know what the answer is. I'm not going to, bash Chad Morris or whatever. We've got what we've got, and they're either going to be football players or they're not. And it looks like they're not going to be. I don't know what the answer is. The score, 42-6, Texas A&M. 42, Arkansas 6.
42-6. So that
two field goals is all we're going to get.
All right, Arthur. That would be. I guess you would place that in the squarely either in the realistic or pessimistic category. Whichever way you want to look at it. But I think he makes a bit of a point here about we've put the thought on Arkansas coming out flat of late, a little bit on the coaching staff. This also does speak a little bit to a team that just hasn't gelled, on either side yet. But offensively, they've come out much more flat in the first half than otherwise, and that's got to be a little bit potentially on the idea of playing more as individuals than a team. There is no more of a team sport here, I think, than football, and you get breakdowns on the offensive line. It's led to breakdowns everywhere else, and sometimes it has felt a little bit more like a collection of individuals than a unit. That's come in fits and starts.
And
All right.
And that goes back to, like you said, coaching. You got to shore that up. I know it's easier said than done, but you got to find a way to finagle it and get the guys together, because if there's dissension, if there's bickering and all that crap in the locker room this early, I'm not saying there is, but if it gets out and rabid this early, you're in for a long season, Phil.
Chandler and Roland says 45-17 Aggies. He's wondering, how does a fan honestly think that Arkansas gets any pressure on Kellen Mond? Ryan in Van Buren says 55-16 Texas A&M, and he thinks that the Hogs would have a better chance if the Aggies would have beaten the Auburn Tigers, potentially so. Let's close out this segment by visiting in with Eddie in Clarksville on the Cherokee Casino Hotline. Eddie, what do you think about tomorrow? You want to give us a prediction for tomorrow?
Well, sir, I don't want to give that if I were guessing, I'd say 65-13. Hey, here's the problem, sir. And I mentioned the other day, and I'll just make it clear. I've been a Hog fan, sir, since 1971, my first Hog game. I mentioned it on the show the other day. And we beat Texas that afternoon with a man, Joe Ferguson. What a player he was. And we beat them 31-7. And I've been on the Hawk train ever since. But let me say that, without a doubt, that was no doubt about it. That's why the fan base is so upset, sir. I've had people reach out to me by the hundreds. Let me say this. That was the poorest coaching performance. But I want to say again, you've heard me mention this before, I've had 35 years, 20 at UPS, going on 15 at Walmart, both stress high standards on performance. Number two, you show up for work prepared. Your management, your associates show up prepared. That's number one. Secondly, you come and you give your best effort, and anything less is unacceptable. And thirdly, they preach this, sir, the importance of team play. The caller before me just touched on it. What is the importance of team play? Coach Moore, sir, I'll say this, and it's hard to back you, sir, when you show up 5 minutes before a game to notice your team's not ready to play football. That cannot happen. And so I mentioned the performance poll tomorrow at 11 o'clock is going to begin. And I want to know, last weekend we were at the bottom on coaching and team play. And I think the fan base is just looking for something on the poll they can hang their hat on. And I'm asking this coaching staff, are you going to come prepared? I'm asking this team, are you going to come prepared to play football? And anything in life, you have to come prepared. Is there anything I'm saying today you don't understand? I would love to have an opportunity, as I have 35 years experience and service awards hang on my wall on performance. I would love to address you to give you the importance of coming prepared, to give you the importance to come to fight your best effort. And anything less is unacceptable. That's why this fan base, it wasn't the loss to San Jose State. It's how you performed.
Well, I tell you what, Eddie comes prepared quite often, and that's what we call a slow build, Ty. Started out quiet, a little bit on the uptick, and by the end of it, top of the lungs, red-faced, eyes bulging, and neck veins, ready to pop. You know what you should have ready to pop once you're done at work today, Ty? Once you get to 2:05 and you know you're done for the day, I know you got those ice-cold Coors Lights ready to go.
Cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged, the cold activated can. When the mountains turn blue, you know your beer is as cold as the Rockies. The process that they go through it, the ingredients that they put inside it, it makes it the best beer, the world's most refreshing. When you open Coors Light and there's that icy little chill, what'd you call it, little slush? Is that what you called it yesterday?
The beer slush.
The beer slush. You always get that with Coors Light. And Phil, what do you always do when the mountains turn blue?
You chug yourself too.
Exactly right. Or grab a few, go for two. There's a lot of jingles you could throw in there. Coors Light, made to chill.
Aaron Torres joining us next. We'll talk some college football, college basketball with the host of the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast next on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
Good coaches win. Great coaches cover. You're listening to Halftime.
Hey, back again with Ben at World of Wireless, 877-305-DISH. We give the name of the company, World of Wireless. Ben, you do everything from internet service to satellite internet, satellite TV. You can help people with all sorts of things.
That's right. Portable satellite on the go, live streaming, recorded TV anywhere when you sign up for DISH and the Hopper service, but you need good internet to do that. So you can sign up for DISH by calling 877-305-DISH. We're a local company. That's a toll-free number. But you need internet to go along with that. And you can go to wowfastinternet.com. That's wowfastinternet.com to see if we cover you in our rural areas. And if we don't, we offer another service. We offer Hughes Satellite. We offer the local telephone company in most areas and the local cable company internet in most areas. But more importantly, if you live rurally, south or east of Fort Smith, we may have high-speed, unlimited internet for you.
Go to wowfastinternet.com. Find out if you live in the coverage area. That's wowfastinternet.com. Or call 877-305-DISH for World of Wireless, your local DISH dealer and local internet provider.
The last big RV show of the year is going on right now at Breeden RV in Van Buren. This is your last chance to save thousands on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. We're having cookouts, parts and service specials, door prizes, henways, plus deer hunter specials like a new 21-foot travel trailer starting at $99.95 and new fifth wheels up to 35% off. Everything new comes with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. So stop by Breeden RV in Van Buren and start your new adventure today.
Cookouts and door prizes on the 20th and 21st. See dealer for details.
Was your roof damaged by recent storms? Don't fall victim to out-of-town contractors and fly-by-night repairmen. Trust the local roofing professionals at Able Roofing. Call their local number, 474-0006, for a free roof inspection. Never trust something as important as the roofing system on your home to a storm chaser. Able Roofing, 474-0006, will work with your insurance company. Call now for your free roof inspection, 474-0006. Able Roofing, the hometown roofers.
Hi, I'm Kelly Smith, owner of Dixie Digital Imaging, the Xerox authorized agency and dealer in the River Valley. The 29 new models of Xerox business printers and copiers represent a quantum leap forward in office technology. They are designed for the way we work today, safely and securely. They're powered by Xerox Connect Key technology. They're innovative and affordable with both black and white and color devices available. For more information, give Dixie Digital a call at 783-6600 or visit us at dixiedigital.com. Dixie Digital Imaging, bringing Xerox document innovations to the River Valley.
Wiedeker Village Wine and Spirits is your full-service liquor store at exit 41 off I-40. Wiedeker Village Wine and Spirits has all your favorite brands of beers and craft beers, plus wines and spirits, all at great prices. And no one has more Arkansas wines, including Wiedeker's award-winning wines. Plus, they have a convenient drive-thru. It's not just a stop, it's an experience. Open 7 days a week. You heard that right. Sundays, too. Wiedeker Village Wine and Spirits, your full-service liquor store at exit 41 off I-40.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Upgrade your evening on the Avenue. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
McFadden. Say goodbye. Darren McFadden, 80 yards, touchdown.
Back on Halftime on ESPN Arkansas, hitthatline.com. We'll go to the Cherokee Casino Hotline. Our friend Aaron Torres joining us, host of the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, also on Fox Sports Radio. AT, I saw you had Bob Stoops on your latest podcast, just released yesterday. That's a good get. How was? I've talked with a couple of guys that used to work for him. They all call him Stoopsy. I don't know if I could call him that, but how was Stoopsy?
Stoopsy was all right. I caught him at the tail end of his book tour, and he was good. You know, I mean, listen, he answered all my questions. He had some fun insight on Baker Mayfield, who, for people who don't know, basically just kind of showed up at Oklahoma unannounced, like they didn't recruit him or anything, just kind of showed up. We talked about Adrian Peterson. Bob Stoops actually visited his dad in jail at the time. His dad has since turned his life around. But, to seal that recruitment, I'm not going to lie, though, Phil. Last question was, could you envision yourself coaching college football again? And he wasn't happy about it, Phil. And I don't really know why. I've heard him ask that question in multiple interviews in the last couple weeks, so I thought it was totally in bounds, and he wasn't happy. So he grit his teeth through it. But, listen, it was like you said, Stoopsy was a good get for me. No one can ever take away that he is now a friend of the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, even if he wasn't happy with Aaron Torres in particular towards the end. But it was a fun show, and I do encourage people to go check it out.
There's nothing wrong with just asking. You didn't ask about a specific job or anything like that, and I've heard him get angry with questions like that. If you're just asking, do you ever see yourself getting back in? That's not on you. I think that's a little hypersensitivity on the coach's part.
Well, and I don't know if he was just tired of doing interviews and he misunderstood the question, but, because he's coaching in this new XFL here in a couple of months. And, I said, how did the opportunity come about? And I'm trying to give the XFL a little bit of love. I know some people working for them. And then I kind of said, listen, obviously this is kind of dipping your toe back in the coaching waters. If this goes well, if you enjoy being back on the sidelines, could you ever see yourself coaching college football again? And if you listen to his answer, and I've listened back a few times, because listen, I'm a nice guy. I don't like making people mad. That's not what I'm not, one of these radio podcast guys that's always looking for a controversial thing and to piss people off. I want them to enjoy the experience to come back. But, I've listened back to the interview, and I think he took it as me saying that he was using the XFL to get back into coaching as if there was no interest. I don't know how he possibly could have perceived it that way. I was just doing a solid to the XFL, and then I thought it naturally led into college football. But he said something to the effect of, I don't need the XFL to get back into college. I'm like, yeah, I know. Obviously, you're a freaking Hall of Famer. You won a national championship. I think you won 10 Big 12 titles in 17 years. Of course, you don't need the XFL. So I don't know if he was just tired or maybe I misspoke and I didn't set up the question well. But, me and Stoopsy, I don't know if we're getting together for Thanksgiving this year. I don't know if I'm getting the Stoops family Christmas card in the mail over these next couple months.
So, AT, I'll move on here, and I figured out what I got to do to get better with my picks, and it's pretty much to just follow you, my man. I know you had a really good week last week, which means good things potentially for Arkansas, not to win, but to cover. And as Ty always reminds me, great teams don't win, great teams cover. So why do you think Arkansas covers the spread against Texas A&M?
Well, first of all, historically, this is a very close game. Listen, I understand the frustration after last Saturday. I don't blame anybody for being mad, for having questions about Chad Morris, where this program is going. But I do think this program is probably a little further along right now than they were at this time last year. Now, I would hope and think they're going to surpass that 2-win mark from a season ago, and I do think they will. I hope they get an SEC win or two, kind of show signs of improvement. But I bring all that up to say I don't think the Hogs are as bad as they were last year, and it was a 7-point game. And so I think when you factor in that historically this has been a close game, I think it's 3 out of the last 5 years it's gone to overtime. In the 9 years, last 10 years, the only time it's been more than a 20-point game was the year that A&M had Johnny Manziel and Arkansas had some guy named John L. Smith. So it was the Battle of the Johns that day, and it was about a 40-point game. But other than that, these are close games. These are 1-score games, 2-score games. A&M is going into their bye next week. They play Bama the following week. I think they're just trying to get out of this game, get healthy. They're not trying to make any kind of statement. They're just trying to win this game. And I think they do, but I do think it's closer than maybe the skeptics in Arkansas might think.
Talking with Aaron Torres, Fox Sports Radio, Kentucky Sports Radio. You can follow his podcast, the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, here on the Cherokee Casino Hotline. Aaron, of all the blue blood schools that we've seen so far in college football this year, Alabama's looked pretty good, Clemson's looked okay, but I think Ohio State under Ryan Day has really made a statement in these first couple of football games. And I know they haven't played the most elite competition, and they're going to get a test on the road against Nebraska this week. But if you look at their score differential, man, they have just been crushing teams, just smoking teams this year. So I got to ask you, man, do you think that they've made the biggest statement so far of all the blue bloods and all the potential college football playoff teams that we think are going to make it there?
Ty, I need you to do me a favor and get out of my head, because that's what I've been thinking here for about a week straight. Listen, the biggest statement, that was still probably LSU going to Texas, winning the way that they did, putting up the point total that they did. But, when I look at teams, and like you said, they haven't really played anybody, although I will say Cincinnati, Indiana, their two quote-unquote best wins. The only losses those teams have are to Ohio State. They're 5-0 when they're not playing Ohio State. And Ohio State beat the brakes off of both of them. And so I only bring that up because when I look at the college football season right now, this is what I see. I see a Bama team that has major questions on defense. I can't believe I'm saying it, but they have major questions on defense. Tua, Jerry Jeudy are carrying them right now. Clemson, for whatever reason, it hasn't clicked with Trevor Lawrence this year. He's already got 5 INTs. He only had 4 all of last year. I think you can make the legitimate case right now, and we'll find out more on Saturday, that Ohio State is the most complete team in college football. They basically rank in the top 10 of every statistical category on defense. Offense, an incredible rushing attack. The only reason their passing attack isn't rated very high is because of the fact that they basically stopped throwing the ball after the second quarter. Justin Fields, for all the talk, guys, I don't know if I've dropped this theory on your show, but I've dropped it other places. If you remember back to last year, Georgia, Kirby Smart kept throwing Justin Fields in at the weirdest possible times. And I think, I truly have this theory, that I think Kirby knew in the back of his head that Justin Fields was a better quarterback than Jake Fromm, and he was waiting and hoping for his Tua Jalen Hurts moment where he could give the team to Justin Fields and never look back. It never came, though. And so you look at Justin Fields this year, 13 touchdown passes, 70% completion percentage, 6 rushing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. We're spending so much time talking about Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow for the Heisman. I think Justin Fields could be there in the end. And so to answer your question, Ty, that was a lot of words to answer your question. I think they might right now be the most complete team in college football. But again, we're going to learn a lot more tomorrow night, Saturday night, in Lincoln. I think it'll be an interesting game. I think it'll be a compelling game. And I think it's a game where Ohio State may be able to really show the world something.
I got a buddy that coined Jake Fromm the Alex Smith of college football. We'll see if that holds true. But yeah, that is an interesting conspiracy theory on your part, Aaron.
Real quick on that. I mean, wasn't last Saturday kind of that? Listen, Georgia's awesome, but they we all thought they were going to look a little bit better against Notre Dame, and yeah, Jake Fromm doesn't do anything wrong. There's 120 teams that would love to have Jake Fromm at quarterback. I just don't I don't know if he can, challenge. By the way, listen, let's think about this. Played Bama twice, lost twice. Not trying to be critical, but these are the facts. Played Bama twice, lost twice. Played LSU once, lost to LSU. Lost to Texas in that Sugar Bowl. I mean, what are the signature Jake Fromm wins? 2 Notre Dame wins, okay. 2 Florida wins. One of the times Florida was terrible. I'm not saying this kid is bad. I'm just saying let's maybe pump the brakes on him and Georgia. By the way, I guess he did beat Baker Mayfield head-to-head in the Rose Bowl, so maybe I should take that theory back. But the point is, I don't know, man. I think he's good, but I do think there's something with this Justin Fields thing. I really, really do.
And that was more, honestly, Aaron, if you want, that was more Sony Michel and Nick Chubb in that football game.
Great point.
So, yeah, I agree with you to a certain extent. Aaron, before we let you go, we've talked 47 minutes of college football to this point, but a lot of fans here are really excited for what Eric Musselman is doing with the Arkansas basketball program. They had their media day just yesterday. A lot of media members got to see some open practice. Fans got to watch that. If you haven't seen it, go to hitthatline.com. And one of the things I talked with you and Eric Musselman was initially hired is you felt like that Nevada team this year got really tired down the stretch and ultimately lost to Florida in the first round. Musselman mentioned how great this team is in shape right now. He said they're in phenomenal shape. Every single one of their guys outside of Connor Vanover, the 7-footer, ran a mile in 5:50 or less. That was the fastest mile I ever ran in high school, 5:57.
Nice.
So like I said,
you could play for Arkansas.
Yeah, good job. But I got to wonder, man, do you think playing for Musselman, I know he's on 24/7, and I'm looking at it from a negative standpoint, do you think that might get to certain players the expectation he's going to require out of him this season?
Yeah, and listen, I think, and you guys know I'm a big fan of Coach Musselman, what he did. There is a reason he hasn't been at any place for more than, I think, 4 years. Nevada was the most, and he holds himself to an insane standard. He holds his staff, he holds his players to a very, very, very high standard. Now, I will say, 2 years ago, NCAA tournament, there were injuries. You were at the game, Ty, in Nashville, but that team was peaking at that time. It wasn't that they weren't living up to expectations. They were just really banged up. Listen, I'll say, and I say this, in a positive way, he holds his teams and players to a very high standard. But I think that's what Arkansas needs at this point. Talking to people over there, and, I don't want to speak for you guys. I don't want to say that you're the ones that told me this, but there were people in Arkansas that said that, Mike Anderson, the way things was, he was kind of, I don't want to say on cruise control. And again, I'm not implying that either of you told me this, but that he was on cruise control. And if I just make the tournament once every 2 years, people will stay off my back. And I know that Arkansas fans have higher expectations for the program. Now, maybe that's not 100% fair to Coach Anderson. Maybe it's not 100% accurate, but I don't think it's that far off. That was the vibe that I got. That's the vibe that I heard from talking to other people. And so I do think, bringing in a guy like Musselman, I think is a good thing, to bring in the energy and the want to needed for that team and program to reach its potential. Because even though I know they made the tournament 2 out of the last 3 years under Mike Anderson, I don't think you would look back on the Mike Anderson era and say that the program as a whole reached its potential. I think it'll get closer under Muss, and I think it starts this season with what's going to be a challenging year, but I think it'll be a fun year for Hogs fans too.
I'm looking forward to talking more college basketball with you as the next month to 2 months comes on, AT.
You guys are ready, huh?
Absolutely. We're in countdown mode. It's 41 days. So, yeah, don't ask us.
How much did you break down the baseball scrimmage this week? I bet it's better than talking San Jose State, right?
By far, yeah. There was probably more people at the Arkansas baseball scrimmage than were stuck around at the end of the San Jose State football game. Yeah, that's right.
I believe it.
Yeah, AT, we got to let you go, man. Appreciate you. Talk next week.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, Aaron Torres from the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. I want to download his Bob Stoops interview and just go to that last question and see what that was like for him. You're going to want to head over to Road Chevrolet at 2800 Alma Highway in Van Buren, because for over 80 years, Rhodes has been the name you can trust, dependable in the car buying and car owning experience. And the folks at Rhodes Chevrolet know how to make you feel just like family. Part of the family-owned dealership and service department, serving the River Valley for over 8 decades. That's Rhodes Chevrolet, 2800 Alma Highway in Van Buren, or RhodesChevy.com. And Rhodes has been dependable since 1934. First hour of halftime coming to a close after the break on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
Good coaches win. Great coaches cover. You're listening to Halftime.
Now is the time to book your fundraising and corporate golf outings for 2019 at Eagle Crest Golf Course. Call Eagle Crest now before all the best dates are gone. 479-632-8857. Eagle Crest Golf Course, voted best of the best golf course 2 years in a row. Let their staff take care of everything, from help with your tournament as well as food and beverage service. If you're looking for a place to host your corporate or charity event this year, call Eagle Crest Golf Course. 479-632-8857. Joe's Grill and Cantina is the only place to watch the Hogs. Watch every game at Joe's. Enjoy half-price apps and taps during the game. And with TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat. Half-price appetizers like brisket nachos, Mexican pizza, 10-layer dip, or Joe's humongous sampler platter. All half-price. And all beers on tap are half-price. Watch every Hog game at Joe's. Half-price apps and taps during every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina. 3400 South 74th Street across from Harps.
Sales tax paid. It's here, it's now, it's at Road Chevrolet in Van Buren. Hi, this is David Neal, and my pre-owned inventory is busting at the seams. State sales tax paid on all pre-owned inventory. Save your hard-earned money and let me pay your state sales tax. Sales tax on Chevy, sales tax on Fords, sales tax on Jeep, sales tax on Kia, sales tax on Subaru. Did I mention I was paying the sales tax on all pre-owned inventory? Hurry, act now only at Road Chevrolet in Van Buren, exit 2-way off of I-540, find new road.
Offer not valid on previous negotiated deals.
Do you hear that Coors Light being poured? It's the perfect temperature. How can I tell just based on the sound? I can't. But I can see that the mountain on the can is blue. And when the mountain is blue, your Coors Light is perfectly cold. Coors Light is cold lagered for a crisper taste, cold filtered for brightness and clarity, and cold packaged for peak refreshment. Doesn't that sound good? 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Your fence is more than a decoration. It's a reflection of its owner. Choosing a fence company should be done with integrity and quality in mind. The Fence Man has been providing fencing and security solutions for over 40 years. An in-house custom iron and gate department, plus an access control department. The Fence Man offers services other companies aren't equipped to do. The Fence Man, fencing and security solutions to protect what matters most. 479-782-3936 or online at thefencemancompany.com, a division of Quantum Property Services. Right now, you can save up to $5,000 off on select in-ground pools at Burton Pools and Spas. Hi, Tommy Kraft here. Now is the perfect time to start planning your own backyard oasis for next summer, so you can relax and enjoy the lazy days poolside next year with family and friends. It's the perfect way to unwind after work or do a staycation. And don't make that long trip this next summer. Vacation in your own backyard. Burton Pools and Spas also has luxury spas, grills, and patio furniture that will complete your outdoor living space. So don't wait. Right now is the time. Save up to $5,000 on select in-ground pools, including saltwater models. It's all at Burton Pools and Spas. This special deal is first come, first served. Stop in their store in Fort Smith and in Springdale for all the details. Fall is the perfect time to start working on your in-ground pool with Burton Pools and Spas in Fort Smith and in Springdale, and online at burtonpools.com. Burton Pools and Spas, your source for backyard fun.
Fall has arrived. Back to school, football games, hunting season, and we know that you don't have the time to deal with an auto accident. Let Evans Body Shop help you through the process from beginning to end. Our caring office staff will take care of the insurance details, and our dedicated shop crew will make sure that your vehicle is repaired properly and beautifully, and that you are back on the road in no time. Come meet us today and see why we say we meet the nicest people by accident. Visit with us at 412 Gordon Avenue in Van Buren, just off Fayetteville Road.
Evans Body Shop, where we meet the nicest people by accident.
ESPN 95.3.
Touchdown!
Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Jones looking, steps, throw to the end zone. Touchdown, Arkansas! Unbelievable!
Arkansas basketball received their first high school commit under Eric Musselman yesterday. Duncan Powell, power forward out of DeSoto, Texas, who's been playing at Huntington Prep in West Virginia, chose Arkansas over Ole Miss, TCU, SMU, St. Louis, and Tulsa. And 6 days ago, Isaac McBride, we talked about it, the former Little Rock native, decided to transfer out of Kansas. He's leaving KU, and here it is 6 days later, and our friend Nikki Chavanel from Rivals is reporting that Isaac McBride is on campus in Fayetteville right now, visiting with Arkansas basketball. Things happen quickly, so stick around. Second hour is coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
You always get more at Orr.
We always put the customer first at Orr Chevrolet in Fort Smith. Since 1924, the Orr family of dealerships has grown based on one simple principle. Give the customer more money for their trades and give them a lower price on their new vehicle. It's a simple concept, really, but one that very few dealers honor anymore. Hey, we know you paid a lot of money for your vehicle, and Orr Chevrolet wants to pay you the maximum amount for it today. Then we'll give you an awesome price on a new Chevrolet. But we're not done giving you more. Included with any new vehicle sold, Orr Chevy will also give you a lifetime powertrain warranty, 2 years of free maintenance, and free car washes for life. So come get a lower price and more money for your trade today at Orr Chevrolet on Auto Park Drive in Fort Smith and 24/7 at OrChevyFS.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You always get more at Orr.
With over 40 years combined experience, the team at the law offices of Craig L. Cook understand the definition of work. Real work. Working for you. Whether you've been injured in an auto accident, on the job, a victim of nursing home negligence, or need help navigating bankruptcy, Social Security, wills, trusts, estates, or family law issues, Craig Cook will go to work for you. Call us today, 479-783-8000. The law offices of Craig L. Cook, with locations in Arkansas and Oklahoma. We work for working people.
Some people will never reach the top. Some will never even try. But anyone with a gall to push their limits knows the reward. Here's an offer that goes further. Get a Yeti Hopper Flip Egg Cooler, a nearly $200 value with the purchase of 4 new BF Goodrich mud terrain or all-terrain tires.
Get where you need to be with Southern Tire Mart, just off I-540 at exit 14 in Fort Smith.
See bfgoodrichtires.com/promo for complete details. Offer expires 10/8/2019. Void where prohibited.
Barley is the soul of Budweiser. That's why we've been working with the same family-owned American farms for more than 50 years to harvest it. The secrets to growing this grain perfectly have been passed down through 3 generations. For them, it's a legacy. And it's why only the best barley and locally sourced ingredients are used to make Budweiser. Budweiser is proudly raised across America. This Bud's from our barley farmers. This Bud's for you. Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
Our weather quiets down completely tonight under a partly cloudy sky. Our overnight lows will drop down into the upper 60s. Whole lot of sunshine for Friday. Our high temperatures nudging 90. We may see a stray shower or rumble of thunder on Saturday. Our high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
I hate everything you just said.
KERX Paris Fort Smith. This is Halftime, coming at you from the Bush and Bushlight Studios on ESPN 95.3.
They're hilarious.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas! I love everything here! Give me that thing here! Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas? Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
Hit that line.
.com.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson.
You do a fantastic job on the radio. There's no one else in this league I'd rather listen to, so keep up the good work.
And Ty Richardson.
Guys do a good job, and I'll listen to you guys.
2 more quarters, and after that, most of you will never play this game again.
D-Mac, hold on, Matt Ryan. D-Mac not looking back, touchdown. How about that Heisman, Mark Jones? How do you like it? Wide open again.
All right, hold on, it's almost halftime.
All right, it is the 10th and final hour of halftime for the week, and we'll get you set for Arkansas versus Texas A&M tomorrow at 11 o'clock kick on the SEC Network. Phil Elson here, Ty Richardson's in the ESPN Arkansas studios. We are your duo for Arkansas game day tomorrow, bright and early at 6 in the morning. I hope I'm there for it. Even throughout this show, at times today, I've had to rebook and then rebook again for a weekend trip back to my home city of Pittsburgh, bringing the lovely lady with me, and apparently there's some pretty nasty weather out there. So American Airlines has we've all initially, Ty, this is funny. I mean, we were going through Chicago. That was about 4 hours ago, just before the show started. Because of delays in Chicago, we had to rebook through Charlotte, and then during our interview with Aaron Torres, American already rebooked us through Dallas Fort Worth. So we were going almost absolutely everywhere we possibly can, except where initially we thought we were going.
Hopefully, I can't even believe it.
I know, that's right, Mike Francesa. I can't even believe it. Hopefully, at some point later on in the late evening hours or extremely early morning hours, we'll make it into Pittsburgh. And maybe I'll get a couple hours sleep before waking up and joining you in the morning for Arkansas game day.
So I guess that's that has to be your JOMO, right? The fact that these airlines are screwing you right now, and you're trying to figure out what you're doing, and you can't seem to.
I was going to add this to JOMO, FOMO Friday. For those who aren't aware of that, though, by the way, FOMO is the fear of missing out on something. JOMO is the joy of missing out on something. And I know I've already done the bit on having total JOMO of not flying commercial flights very often, because I mean, we've done the show at the Fayetteville Airport and the Bentonville Airport when I've been connecting with the women's basketball team and with the baseball team to fly on charter flights. So I mean, that's if you got the means to do it, that's the way to travel. That's the way to fly. Stay off those commercial airlines, which are is about as miserable to deal with as the flu, to be quite honest. But in this situation, I can't get I couldn't convince Hunter Yurichek to have the Arkansas Athletic Department cover my flight to Pittsburgh with the lovely lady for the weekend festivities. I tried. They weren't listening to me, Ty, so I guess I don't have as much pull as some people thought.
Those rotten airlines just pumped your fist at the sky.
I know. But I already did the whole airline bit before, so no need to get into that. You know what I got JOMO on right now? And I don't really have FOMO on much for right now, but I do have JOMO on something. And it's that none of the teams that I have covered have ever lost 70% or worse of their games. And this is something now that is happening potentially in back-to-back years in Major League Baseball for the first time since World War II. So in order for this to happen, the Detroit Tigers are going to need to at least split their remaining 4 games. The Tigers have a doubleheader today at I don't even remember. Guaranteed Rate Field, I think, is the Chicago White Sox home ballpark. I still want to call it Comiskey. So they got a doubleheader with the White Sox today, and then Saturday and Sunday to close out the regular season. The Tigers, managed by Ron Gardenhire, currently have won 46 games and lost 112. So their winning percentage is .291, which means they've lost just over 70% of their games time. If they go 2-2, they will finish with a winning percentage under .300, which really hasn't happened very often in the history of baseball. From 1953 through 2018, only 2 Major League teams lost 70% of their games or worse. And one of them was the famous 1962 Mets, the original Mets, for the first year of the Mets organization, and they lost 120 of 160 games. And then it happened again 1962 to 2003 when the Tigers lost 119 games against just 43 wins. So what is that? That's a 41-year period between teams to lose 70% of their games, and over about a 65-year period, only 2 teams ever lost 70% of their games. So last year Baltimore did it. This year the Tigers are probably going to do it, and you're in it's like the haves and the have-nots in Major League Baseball, and you haven't seen anything like this in a long, long time. Now, I've been a part of some pretty bad teams, Ty. But the worst team I can remember covering would have been the 2002 Arkansas Travelers that finished 51-89. So I've never seen a team lose 70% of their games, at least not one that I'm attached to. And I've got total JOMO of that because it's just not it can't be fun to cover a team that set a Major League record for home losses. The Tigers lost 59 home games. No team in Major League history has ever lost that many games. It just has to stink. It's the big leagues, but it's not the big leagues at the same time. The Tigers apparently tanked a little bit to try to get the top overall pick in Major League Baseball, which, by the way, didn't Bob Holt remind us of that yesterday? I think Bob told us that he was proud that the Tigers did clinch the first overall pick in the Major League Baseball draft, which, if things go well for him, maybe that's Casey Martin.
Yeah, that would be a cool connection. I think there's a lot of Red Sox fans I know that were thrilled when they elected to draft Andrew Benintendi, and then I'm curious to see where Casey Martin ends up, but as I assume that you are and Dave Van Horn and so many other Arkansas fans, and that'd be kind of cool if he stayed close to home. Where are the Royals at in the draft? Do you know by chance?
Well, Kansas
off
City.
The top of your head?
I don't off the top of my head. I don't. I don't think they're all that close because. Well, I would imagine right now they're at least in the top 5 or 6 as far as where they're picking for next year's draft.
Now I know last year Casey was projected number 1, but after the fielding problems he had this past year, do you still think, Phil, he's the number 1 draft and the consensus number 1 draft pick off the board this year?
I think he'll be in the conversation of the best athletes available in the draft.
Okay.
And I think some teams will be a little frightened away by the total errors and by the strikeouts, but I think also because they'll be looking at what he is as an athlete and what the potential is for him to be, and that he can play a lot of different positions, even some outfield maybe, I still think he'll be in the conversation. So I think teams will want to see him learn to lay off speed pitches, get a better pitch to hit. cut the strikeouts down and cut the errors down a little bit. So I would put that on the list. Oh, by the way, back to the 30%, 70% conversation. Right now, Arkansas has won 22.2% of the games that Chad Morris has coached. A loss to Texas A&M puts them under 20%. That would do a loss against the Aggies would put his winning percentage at Arkansas at 17.4%. And trending lower, by the way, as the season continues potentially.
All right, you don't want that. All right, so recently College Game Day announced that Gabrielle Union, actress who's been in just a slew of different movies over the year, will be picking for her alma mater this week. And I was thinking to myself a couple weeks back, who would be the celebrity guest picker if Arkansas was to eventually get it somewhere, some way down the road? And I think the three that came to mind, and Phil, you can give yours for Arkansas-wise, who you want to add to the list, is John Daly, Darren McFadden, and Jerry Jones. Those are the three that come to mind quickly, and I think they're recognizable across the United States. I know Darren McFadden would be maybe a little less, but he's still one of the greatest college football players, if not one of the greatest SEC players of all time. And I think that he's so revered amongst Razorback circles. I mean, you have Chad Morris basically instilling the same philosophies and the same ideals that went along with not just Houston Nutt, but I feel like he's more trying to do what Darren McFadden brought to the table during the time of his football years. Do you have a Arkansas guy or gal that you think would be a good College Game Day guest if they ever made their way back to Fayetteville?
Well, I don't know. And John in Nashville brings up Justin Moore, whom we've had on our show
Justin's
a couple of times.
great,
I think Justin Moore would be a good pick. I think Dan Hampton would be a great pick. I mean, if you're talking about great Razorbacks who are from the state of Arkansas and had legendary NFL careers, as Hampton is a Hall of Famer in Canton. I think he'd be one. I'd be interested, and I don't know what her knowledge of football is, or even if that matters, to be quite honest. But I think Stacey Lewis would be a good picker if Game Day wanted to go to somebody that's got a deep connection to Arkansas athletics and has had a lot of success on the professional tour as well. So I would go with them.
So
I couldn't think of a third though. I mean, the more obvious one is to pick. Is to go the Bill Clinton route. And I don't know if I'd see the former president on ESPN Game Day.
Yeah, I don't know either. And I actually thought about that as well. Maybe if this was the 90s, that might have been a better solution, but it's just not. So I'm with you there, Phil. So you know how around Fridays I start fiending for Saturday. Like I just get excited. We're talking college football. We're talking gambling. We're talking Arkansas games. So I was going back through some old Arkansas videos and stuff, and I remembered back in 2011 when Arkansas was actually relevant in college football, and they were in the College Game Day song.
ESPN College Game Day. Well, we're coming to your city. Will we stream down soon or roll time? Go big blue. Had a ball down on the bayou and on the beach. We saw blue turf and the tomahawk chop and the gators in the swamp. Yeah, big Suey and go Gamecocks.
Man, how far they've fallen since then. You had a Tyler Wilson and Jake Beckett highlight during that little stretch, but I'm just thinking to myself, man, that was something. That was when they were talked about on College Game Day. That's when Arkansas games were actually picked out on College Game Day. But kind of back to Gabrielle Union, who's calling picks for this week in Nebraska, almost said Omaha, in Lincoln this week. And Phil, I guess I got a little FOMO that I'll never get to be a College Game Day picker specifically, because I think that would be so cool. And there have just been...
You got to be famous first, right?
Exactly.
I mean, first you've got to get famous. And that's going to happen for you, Ty. So, I mean, give yourself some time. The question for me is what happens first? Does Arkansas get to finally host Game Day, or do you become famous?
They host Game
Which
Day.
is the first thing to happen?
They host Game Day. That's 100% as accurate as it gets. And if I was on a lie detector test, that'd be the exact same thing. But I'm thinking about some of these great, just fantastic Game Day memories over the years. Charles Barkley is always awesome when he's on set, whether it's NBA Tonight or if he's on Game Day set. You remember Will Ferrell on USC when Corso was wearing his big head, and then the duck came out and he threw his head off and he put it on, and Farrell started hitting him with it, like stuff like that. Will Ferrell's great. You got McConaughey for Texas this year, and I know that there's people listening right now that are not the biggest Matthew McConaughey fan. He's actually leading picks right now this year for guest pickers. Isn't that wild? So he's up on everyone. So
he picks every week now?
Well, no, he had, I want to say he only missed one game. He went like 9-1. I think Bo Jackson went 8-2. But yeah, he's up of all the guest pickers because I think they pick 10 games a week. But that's that. There's just some great. One of the best memories I have is Katy Perry holding up the corn dog next to Corso, and then also having a crush on Oklahoma. He played for Oklahoma at the time, Trevor Knight, which was really cool, and I thought that was great. But there's just so many great ones. And for those who don't know the background story, when they're in Columbus for College Game Day, back when Herbie was first initially on, he asked Kirk Herbstreit's wife, and I'm referring to Lee Corso, if he could put on the Brutus Buckeye. And this had never been done before, and it was just kind of a new thing. And then it does that, and it just becomes a phenomenon. Like, everyone turns on their TVs at about 10:55 and waits a couple minutes for Corso to put on his headgear. You got Tom Rinaldi, who always makes you cry every single week. There's been two great stories. We heard the Brandon Burlesworth story earlier this year, and then the Blake Anderson of Arkansas State and the passing of his wife, Wendy. I mean, there's just so many things that go into College Game Day that make it the best pregame show, not only for college football, but just in sports. And so it'd be really cool to be a part of it one day. I've been to Waco for it down there at Baylor, been to Stillwater for it down there. I don't know if it's ever going to get back to Arkansas. You hope it does eventually. Again, the longest drought in the SEC. But, Phil, I got a little FOMO that I'm never going to get to be a picker or guest picker on College Game Day.
Chris in Greenwood reminds us that Arkansas had Game Day in 2006. Now, you assigned me that game for a halftime homer because that was a Tennessee game.
Yeah.
But that's the last time, correct? And am I correct in you telling me that every other school in the SEC has been featured on Game Day or had Game Day at home since then?
Every single one.
Even Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt, Kentucky. Yep. Exactly. I'm telling you, it's the longest drought in the SEC, and I've double, triple, quadruple checked this every time because when you hear that, you just don't believe it, and that just that College Game Day isn't necessarily indicative of where your football program is because there's some good football programs that just hadn't had it in a while.
Right, but there's I know, and I noticed this when you bring it up. There's a pride that goes with just having that show in your city.
Oh my gosh,
that's what the song's all about, right? Come into your city, and it is it's part of that has to do with your opponent, of course. But I mean, they're not highlighting. They're not highlighting crappy games. You know, they go to the game. They go to the city that's hosting a big game of the week, or one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game of the week. And so, I mean, when's the last time you were part of something like that? You were close. You know, you even told me the story, which I'd heard about and read about, that Arkansas and Alabama would have been on Game Day in Fayetteville 2012, if not for the loss at home to ULM.
Yeah, that's something. It's just, it's not just being mentioned in the song itself, which if you listen to the College Game Day song in 2019 or 2018, 2017, it wasn't mentioned then because you just became irrelevant. And what does ESPN do like every other business does? It attaches itself to marquee and good stuff, Phil. And Arkansas hasn't been relevant really in college football. So they're going to not necessarily detach themselves because they still obviously broadcast Arkansas games in the SEC network, but they're going to stay away from that. I mean, there were College Game Day 2006. You had the LSU-Arkansas matchup that used to be hit on more consistently because it was more of a marquee matchup and because it was a big deal, but it's just not anymore. Like, when Arkansas and LSU played this year, yes, there'll be a mention or two for the Battle of the Golden Boot, but I doubt you'll see that on College Game Day unless Arkansas just completely turns the tides of their season and just goes on a hot streak or makes themselves at least relevant. But maybe it speaks more to where the where the Arkansas football program is right now. That maybe I'm not just bummed that they're not in College Game Day, they're not being mentioned on the premier college football show, Phil, but they're not even just being mentioned in general. They have become the laughing stock in the SEC, and that's why it's so important, as I referenced in hour number one, for eventually these group of guys to put their foot in the ground, step on someone's throat, and say enough is enough, whether you're up high at the end of the game, or you're trying to come back and will yourself back to win, whatever the circumstances may be, you got to get over the hump sometime, or it's going to be continuous. It's never going to stop. We talked about the money that's consistently flowed into this program the last couple of years, which has been helped with the SEC Network edition, obviously, how much money they brought in. But if this team just keeps sucking and keeps going 2-10 or having losing seasons, I'm not going to say that money's going to dry up completely, but it's not going to be as plentiful as it was in years past, which is just a bummer. I know I'm getting on this tangent. All of a sudden, we were just talking about College Game Day, but
it's a question of relevance, really. That's what it comes down to. Yes, I completely agree. And by the way, we got some texters who believe in you. Ty Turtle Racer thinks that you'll be famous before game day gets back to Fayetteville. And Chris in Greenwood says if you stay on halftime, Ty, you will make it to game day. But you got to stay on the radio show for it to happen.
We need to make this the longest running radio show in Arkansas history. I know that we got some catching up to do with some other long-standing radio shows, including some of our, because Morning Rush has been going for 10-plus years. I bet Tommy's going to text me real quick, but I can't remember the exact figure of how long the show's been going on, but I know it's 10-plus years. So as long as you don't get an MLB job, Phil, we'll stick this thing together as long as it don't annoy you too bad.
Well, we'll see what happens first. If you got a JOMO or a FOMO, let us know. Cherokee Casino Hotline open for you at 877-377-6963. Brought to you today by Rhodes Chevrolet, the name you can trust for over 80 years. Rhodes is dependable in car buying and car owning. They know how to make you feel comfortable and make you feel like family. That's part of the family-owned dealership and service department at Rhodes Chevrolet that has served the River Valley for over 8 decades. And you'll find your next dependable vehicle there at 2800 Alma Highway in Van Buren or RhodesChevy.com. Rhodes Chevrolet has been dependable since 1934. We are coming back with your reactions to FOMO and JOMO, and also we've got our picks coming up in a couple of segments. You can get ahead of the other, and we have settled on a punishment for the loser. Halftime continues on a Friday on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me.
The best midday show in the Natty State. You're listening to Halftime.
Every day, vegetables are ripped from the earth, sliced, diced, even something called julienne. But for just $5 a day, you can help. Get 2 Hardee's Original Roast Beef Sandwiches for just $5. Slow-cooked beef, hand-dipped in rich au jus, each prepared without harming a single vegetable. So come to Hardee's, get 2 Original Roast Beef Sandwiches, and save the veggies. Hardee's, because it tastes better. Available for a limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating restaurants. Tax not included. Price and participation may vary.
How about today? Today is the day to buy your new car or truck. Hi, this is David Neal at Rhodes Chevrolet in Van Buren, and for a limited time, we have added more incentives to our huge inventory. You can take home this brand new 2019 Chevy Crew Cab Z71 and save up to $14,000, or be the talk of the town while saving up to $6,000 on the all-new 2019 Chevy Blazer. These savings will not last long, so slide into Rhodes Chevrolet, exit 2-way off I-540 in Van Buren. Find new roads.
See dealer for details.
Some people will never reach the top. Some will never even try. But anyone with a gall to push their limits knows the reward. Here's an offer that goes further. Get a Yeti Hopper Flip Egg Cooler, a nearly $200 value with the purchase of 4 new BF Goodrich mud terrain or all-terrain tires.
Get where you need to be with Southern Tire Mart, just off I-540 at exit 14 in Fort Smith.
See bfgoodrichtires.com/promo for complete details. Offer expires 10/8/2019. Void where prohibited.
If you're a landowner, hobby farmer, or full-time farmer, Bush Machine and Tractor knows how important this time of year is for you. So make the most of it with a brand new Branson tractor. Offering tractors from 19 to 105 horsepower, they have the tractor that's right for you. Make the most of your time this year and ask about their special financing options and free loader rebates. Arkansas's #1 Branson dealer is Bush Machine and Tractor in Fort Smith. Check out their inventory at bushtractor.com.
You've worked hard your whole life anticipating the day you could finally retire. If that day is near, there are 5 things you need to do. Spend wisely, understand your retirement plan distribution options, plan for your required minimum distributions, know your Social Security options, and consider phasing. Call Brad Lewis at United Financial Advisors to discuss these steps in detail at 242-7466 or through our website at ufadvisors.net.
Securities and advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates, member FINRA SIPC. United Financial Advisors is a marketing destination.
You always get more at Orr.
We always put the customer first at Orr Chevrolet in Fort Smith. Since 1924, the Orr family of dealerships has grown based on one simple principle. Give the customer more money for their trades and give them a lower price on their new vehicle. It's a simple concept, really, but one that very few dealers honor anymore. Hey, we know you paid a lot of money for your vehicle, and Orr Chevrolet wants to pay you the maximum amount for it today. Then we'll give you an awesome price on a new Chevrolet. But we're not done giving you more. Included with any new vehicle sold, Orr Chevy will also give you a lifetime powertrain warranty, 2 years of free maintenance, and free car washes for life. So come get a lower price and more money for your trade today at Orr Chevrolet on Auto Park Drive in Fort Smith and 24/7 at OrChevyFS.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You always get more at Orr.
This is the Morning Rush.
Just hasn't clicked yet for Chad Morris. I don't think the guy is incapable of doing this job. He's got to get more players. He's got to get more talent. I think there's clearly reason to question whether this coaching staff is all cohesive and on the same page. He's still learning on the job what it takes to be the CEO of an SEC football program.
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3. ESPN 95.3. Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Adams with it at the 45. Adams skipping. Adams gets outside. Watch out. Hits the sideline. The Jet. Touchdown, Arkansas.
You got a thought for us today on our Cherokee Casino hotline. It's open for you at 877-377-6963. Some text to read here. Doug in Little Rock has an interesting idea, Ty, because of the saw what Houston's doing with redshirting their quarterback to Eric King. I think another one of their players is redshirting. And Dana Holgorsen, it's Dana Holgorsen's idea. Get these guys to redshirt early in the season. They won't play the rest of the year, come back again, and be with them next year. So we got Doug from Little Rock who wants Arkansas to redshirt the big recruits right now because he doesn't want the risk of losing them as grad transfers down the road. But he's mentioning players that we haven't even seen yet. Amante Spivey, Hudson Henry, KJ Jefferson. Doesn't it seem pretty – it seems pretty obvious right now that the plan is to redshirt those 3 players and maybe get them into a couple of games, but they're not going to play more than the 4 before you can't use that red shirt.
Yeah, Chad Morris has already been on the record that he thinks that Shamar Nassar is going to be redshirted. And correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, but Spivey and Hudson Henry have both not seen the field yet. So that's probably not going to happen. They might see it later in the year, but I think that all 3 of those guys, now I can't be 100% on this, what the plan is, but they're probably going to redshirt him and do that. So that's probably the plan to maybe wasn't the plan to begin with, but once they got in fall ball and then started to look at him and see where the depth chart was, that's what the football coaches decided to do.
W. and Wicks asking, and this has kind of been one of the focuses throughout the week, is job security for Chad Morris. It's mind-boggling that you're thinking about that here in the 5th week of the 2nd year, but I think that's also because a lot of fans, and maybe we're guilty of it too, is looking down the road for the rest of the season and kind of wondering what the rest of the season looks like. If you're going to be even a little bit better than last year, 3 wins potentially, who knows? You thought you'd get 4. I don't know if that's the case. W. and Wicks asks, who's more worried about their job, Chad Morris or Joe Craddock? And I mean, it'd be Craddock at the top of the list, I think. No, I think both coordinators have to be a little bit nervous about it because even if you stay the course and keep Chad Morris after this season, no matter what, if it's another 2-10 year or if it's a 3-9 year, there's going to be a need to change something on the coaching staff. If you're not going to make a change at the top is sometimes forced to make a change a little bit underneath him. And remember, Hunter Yurachek said that Chad Morris will make the decisions as to whom is working for him, but there'll be some nudges in towards a certain direction if a change does have to be made. By the way, Doug also says he has suggested to not redshirt them. So, that's what Doug wants to see the young guys out there right now, figuring that maybe looking at this season, I don't know if you look at it as a lost cause or whatnot, but to get these guys to get their feet wet theoretically early.
I'm curious if you've polled the Razorback fan base, what percentage of them would say the season of a lost cause? Because if you truly believe that, then there's no point of going to games or anything. I don't think the season is a lost cause. There's a lot of stuff that they can still get better at, obviously, and hopefully get a win or two, especially in SEC play. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know yet. I got to see what they do against Texas A&M tomorrow afternoon, and maybe I can make a better judge of the team's character at that point, but it's definitely far from over, and giving up on this football team is not the way to go, Phil.
So maybe the fan backlash isn't as bad as it can be as this season progresses. But let's rewind to a year ago. A blowout loss at home against North Texas, and it was the thing that nobody thought could necessarily happen to Arkansas. A loss at home to a Group of 5 team is one thing, but a blowout loss was another thing. But there was also the thought that, yes, the cupboard is barren. Give Chad Morris time to get his players in. And now here it is, 12 months later, and you get the sense that this last week the backlash has been pretty thick, I think. And you can take people that have the thought that you need to give the coach time to build a program up, but at the same time, I think that most of those fans, most of those people have been disappointed at the way the team has come out. You know what I think? There'll be a real backlash if continuously you see that this team doesn't look ready to get on the field with 60 minutes to play and the kickoff occurs and then it takes them a few series to get to feel comfortable out there. I think, this goes to another conversation we had earlier before the season even started. What do you want to see this year? If you're looking at results and you're looking at wins, as how you can tell whether or not a program is moving forward, that's one thing. And maybe you won't see, that many more victories than last year, but it's also the eye test. If Arkansas is starting to build up a little bit of that depth that they need to be a true competitor in the SEC West. And I think at times, yes, it looks like it's a team that's got more speed than last year. But where's the effort, And right now, I think you can take both views, Ty. You can look at it and say this is somebody that Chad Morris, his coaching staff still need time to get the players, the Jimmies and the Joes that you need to compete. But at the same time, you can be very disappointed that the team has looked ill prepared or ill mentally prepared to be out there and playing their best.
I've never called out the fan base for being disappointed, but it's when you take it over the top and you're tweeting at players, not only at players, but players' family. That's just a no-no. Other recruits that are trying to come in to help build back the program see that. That means they're less likely to do that. But to say it's wrong for fans to be disappointed or ticked off on losing to San Jose State is just a gross miscalculation of what you should and should not say, period. End of story. Drake Magruder texted in. Good to hear from you, Drake. Hadn't heard from you in a while. He said Derek brought up on the afternoon show yesterday that Morris was brought in to right the ship, but then someone else will be brought in to win or later or similar seems to be what's going on with Anderson to Musselman transition. Do you guys subscribe to that? I think that Derek and Zach are both much farther along in the idea that Chad Morris is not going to get it done there. I don't think Phil and I have voiced that opinion yet, and privately, I don't think we think that either. I know that people were ticked off that you lost to San Jose State, that you barely beat Colorado State and Portland State, but you're still in the very year 2 of the program. It's still the very beginning. And I know there hasn't been a lot of positives taken on. And if you wanted to compare it, quite frankly, to Brett Bielema's tenure at Arkansas, there's a lot more positives that you can take away with him early on than you can with Chad Morris. But, Phil, I don't know about you. I'm not going to completely jump off the ship, and I don't know if I'll ever get on this radio station and say this so-and-so deserves to be fired unless he does something inexplicably wrong than just losing football games. But I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. But I don't think I'm in that line of thinking, and I don't think you are either.
Usually you would think that the guy that rights the ship is also the person that takes that ship in the same direction that he started it pointing in, right? You know, and if you're going to compare the basketball program to the football program, it's awfully difficult to do that. You can engineer turnarounds in basketball much quicker
like that
than you can in football, much quicker. And so, and the other thing too, and part of it is because of previous connection to the program and what he'd done previously. But also, Mike Anderson was going to get more time, no matter what, than Chad Morris is going to get, because he was Mike Anderson, because he's Nolan's protege, and so there's that, and then there's also the thought that if you've got a roster that it's normally of like 12 to 13 to 14 players, and you start with an empty closet, it is so much easier to build a program back up than when you're worried about a roster of over 75 in which the closet was just as barren. That's the challenge that Chad Morris faces, that no basketball coach in college faces at all, especially one that has the resources that Arkansas has.
I heard Houston not talking about this on the Hog Pod with Bo earlier this week, and we'll close on this note. Remember, there's only 6 teams in the SEC that have won the SEC championship, and Houston was close a couple times. They didn't get there, but they were close. I mean, they almost had it a couple times. I know they were blowing out Georgia in 2002, but they should have beat Florida. And the Reggie Bush fumble, and there's a couple other mistakes in that football game, but that's just one of those things where it takes so much longer for a program like Arkansas that's not a blue blood powerhouse traditionally to, if they get down to a certain point, to build the program back up. It's not like Ohio State when they had Fickell that one down year, lost to Michigan, and all of a sudden Urban comes in, they're back to being the biggest powerhouse in college, or if not one of the biggest powerhouses in college football. It's just not that easy. So I don't subscribe to the theory that there's a guy in waiting that can take over Chad Morris's reins and then just go with it, because I think people are underestimating at how bad the program was left, and then how much harder it is. People just think that you can walk into the Arkansas head coaching position as a good coach and win football games. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, Phil.
Don't forget about the last big RV show of the year. Get over to Breeden RV in Van Buren, especially by the end of the month. Got a chance to save thousands on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. Ask about the Deer Hunter Special. It's a 21-foot new travel trailer starting at $999.5, and their new fifth wheels that are up to 35% off. Best part about it, at Breeden, everything new comes with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. That's Breeden RV in Van Buren. Start a new adventure by going online to BreedenRVs.com. Time for football picks coming up after the break on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson. Follow them on Twitter at Phil Elson PXP and at Ty Sports Radio.
End of summer savings on Sierras and Yukon XLs. Right now at Harry Robinson Buick GMC. Save up to $14,000 off on the 2019 GMC Sierra SLT. Featuring the new body style and tons of features. Now $14,000 off. Need third row seating? The 2019 GMC Yukon XL has tons of room and all the features you demand. Right now save up to $13,000 off. End of summer savings. Save up to $14,000 off at Harry Robinson Buick GMC. Exit 11 off of I-540 in Fort Smith.
Is your home at least 10 years old and served by OG&E? OG&E is offering Arkansas customers a free weatherization program to increase your comfort and lower your bills. A trained crew will perform an energy audit at no cost to you, and if your home qualifies, our crews will install measures that will save you money. The services provided through this program are absolutely free to qualifying homes. If you could benefit from free home weatherization improvements, call OG&E at 1-800-272-9741. That's 1-800-272-9741.
The last big RV show of the year is going on right now at Breeden RV in Van Buren. This is your last chance to save thousands on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. We're having cookouts, parts and service specials, door prizes, henways, plus deer hunter specials like a new 21-foot travel trailer starting at $99.95 and new fifth wheels up to 35% off. Everything new comes with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. So stop by Breeden RV in Van Buren and start your new adventure today.
Cookouts and door prizes on the 20th and 21st. See dealer for details.
Joe's Grilling Cantina is the only place to watch the Hogs. Watch every game at Joe's. Enjoy half-price apps and taps during the game. And with TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat. Half-price appetizers like brisket nachos, Mexican pizza, 10-layer dip, or Joe's humongous sampler platter. All half price. And all beers on tap are half price. Watch every Hog game at Joe's. Half-price apps and taps during every Hog game at Joe's Grilling Cantina. 3400 South 74th Street across from Harps.
Was your roof damaged by recent storms? Don't fall victim to out-of-town contractors and fly-by-night repairmen. Trust the local roofing professionals at Able Roofing. Call their local number, 474-0006, for a free roof inspection. Never trust something as important as the roofing system on your home to a storm chaser. Able Roofing, 474-0006, will work with your insurance company. Call now for your free roof inspection, 474-0006. Able Roofing, the hometown roofers.
At Chambers Bank, our Arkansas roots grow deep, and you can trust us as your partner for every banking need. From a simple checking account to your first home loan, whatever you need, big or small, we are here for you. With 18 convenient branches throughout the state and a full suite of online banking options, we will always be available when you need us. Family owned in Arkansas since 1930, Chambers is your full-service community bank. Bank with trust at Chambers Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS 631520.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Upgrade your evening on the Avenue. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Lou Holtz, Mark May, number 5. You better look at him a little closer. He's a football player.
Got that wood right here. All right, it's time for picks. But before we get to our winners and our losers for the weekend, winners and losers by the spread, of course, we'll go to the Cherokee Casino hotline. Robbie has dialed us up. Robbie in Vegas today. I know you've been bouncing all over the place on active duty, Robbie. Thanks for your service. And you're on halftime. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. I'm on I-15 headed towards Vegas. Going to watch the games tomorrow. Then head to San Diego on Sunday.
It's a couple of good places for watching football, yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so I couldn't catch the morning rush because I was at the mountains coming out of Colorado. But I just got reception a little while ago. Listened to your conversation you and Ty were having. You know, hey, one of the big things about Chad Morris, I think one thing that folks discount is that when going from a pro-style offense to a spread offense, that is a whole personnel grouping change in who you have to recruit. And I think that if Arkansas is going to make a coaching change, they're going to have to find somebody that runs the air raid spread offense. But you can't afford to go back to a pro style because then you're talking about an entire recruiting cycle, 3-4 years that you're going to have to build up personnel to match what you're trying to do. But I think what you can do is you can try to find a defensive coach, a coordinator. After you get rid of Chavis, you got to find somebody that has the ability to beat the spread. Because one of the big things about John Chavis is is that when he was at LSU and A&M and now at Arkansas, is that spread teams badger him and they gash him. And he was really good in the 90s against the pro style, but not so much against the spread air raid type of stuff. So just my 2 cents, A&M beats Arkansas pretty bad tomorrow. I think 49-24, something like that. It'd be the spread plus a couple.
All right, Robbie. Appreciate the call. Thanks, man. And we appreciate his service as well. And of course, you went from more of an air raid. It wasn't an air raid style, but a more open offense from Bobby Petrino to what Brett Bielema wanted to do. And then, even Bielema, they had trouble running the ball at times. So he just with Brandon Allen quite a bit was throwing it. It didn't work here at Arkansas. It sounds to me also, too, Ty, like Robbie's already made the coaching change. Sounded like Robbie moved past Chad Morris potentially.
Yeah, doesn't seem too enthused with his performance to this point. And, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Not a lot of people are, and for good reason. He hasn't shown you much, if anything, but that. But I'm not going to be the guy that's going to get out of here on this radio and say he's never going to get on Arkansas. I think you need much more of a sample size than 16 football games. And again, the recruiting cycle that Robbie is talking about, there's not a bigger difference. I guess the only difference, Phil, is going from like the wing T or the triple option to running the spread. I mean, this is such a different complex of scheme changes and philosophy and identity to go from the players that they're learning. I know that there's a lot of players that transferred and a lot of players are out the door, but there's still some leftovers here. And it's not like those are bad apples or anything, but they were taught completely something different before Chad Morris got on campus. So you have to understand it takes time. Like when I came into the radio world and when you came into your radio world, you probably developed things, you probably were taught the certain way. Now we work for Pearson Broadcasting. Now we work for Tommy Kraft. We don't have to change everything, but there's expectations and stuff that Tommy wants that we may have never had before. And it takes time. It's not just a quick, easy fix. And college football, in the most difficult division in all, maybe even all of sports, the SEC West, it's not just an easy snap your fingers, the boys are ready to go. Plus, not to mention, it's not like Arkansas gets top 5, top 10 recruiting classes where it's a lot easier because the players are just good. And sometimes the talent makes up for the error of missing a scheme or whatever. It's not the case. This is not going to be an easy fix. For anyone that thought that some coach was going to, regardless if it was Morris, Malzahn, whoever, they weren't just going to come in here and compete for the SEC West in year one. That wasn't going to happen. If you thought that was going to happen, I don't know what world you're living in, but it's not the real one, Phil.
All right, so let's get to our picks here. And before we actually do the picks, in which Ty does lead me 10-6, we'll stick with the money ball. I know I was complaining and bitching about the money ball last week, but that's only because you won the money ball and I did not. But
so we are doing it.
Sooner or later, it'll help me out.
You'll
sure
hit
it
it.
will. So we'll still have a money ball. So our last pick will be worth 2, and the other picks will be worth 1. But we've now, I think, settled on a punishment for the loser. Now it's great when you care more about what the loser has to do other than that the winner gets. The winner gets nothing other than pride and the joy of, in this case, seeing his radio partner's taste buds melt down completely off his tongue to where he probably can't do the show later on in the day. So I think that this hot sauce wing challenge that we're going to do sometime in January, once the college football season is done, it's going to have to be a Friday night thing instead of a weekday thing.
Okay.
And I would, when I lose, because I don't have any faith in my ability to come back in this. Can we just give me maybe a 24-hour window from when I eat this sauce until I have to do a play-by-play broadcast?
I think that's fair because I don't want you to just like fork over and just throw up mid-broadcast, even though that would be great for the show the following Monday. I don't want that for your professional reputation.
So Brett and Spyro had said, we should try this sauce called Reaper Squeezins, which is by a company called Pucker Butt. $24, 2.2 million Scovilles on the Scoville. That sounds like a lot of Scovilles.
Jeez. So I guess.
So do you want to do something that's disgustingly hot? Are we going with something that is painfully hot?
That's a listener sending us advice. Let's go with Brett and Spyro's suggestion. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. And are we doing 6 wings, 12 wings? How are we doing this?
Well, I can't eat 12 wings in a single setting, so we'll go with 6.
6? Okay, I think 6 is fair. And you can have water, but you can't have milk. So I think that's the best.
Now I'm frightened here because I'm reading this review of Reaper Squeezins, and apparently the guy who made the sauce, as the story goes, melted his sauce-making kettle while making a batch of this sauce. So it's going to melt down cast iron. Maybe I'm going to need a week between doing this and so you know what I'm going to do now, Ty? I'm going to do so much research into each of these games that I'm going to be frozen in with the inability to make a decision out of all the research I'm going to do because now I'm frightened of 2.2 million Scovilles.
Yeah, that doesn't sound painful. All right, I'll kick things off, Phil. We got to go through these kind of quick because we're running short on time. I got Oklahoma State covering. They're 4-point favorites at home against Kansas State. 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games. They lost a tough game to Texas this last week. This is going to be a shootout. This is not Bill Snyder's Kansas State team. Oklahoma State's 12th in the country in scoring offense. K-State's 13th. I think Mike Gundy's going to get his team to respond. I like Oklahoma State to win and get the points this weekend.
So I like the matchup of Cal versus Arizona State, two of the best defenses in the country. Arizona State, though, got torched by Colorado at home last week, 34-31. Cal, of course, coming off the victory on the road against Ole Miss. Cal's won 7 of the last 8 home meetings against ASU, and the Bears are favored by 4. I'm going to take the Fightin' Cal Bears to stay undefeated.
Mississippi State and Auburn, this is going to be a really fun SEC matchup. I'm not a huge Joe Moorhead believer. I know our friend Connor O'Gara is over at Saturday Down South. Phil, Auburn might have the most lethal defense in the SEC. It was on full display in the 12th man on Saturday. Garrett Schrader, freshman, first SEC road game. I'm taking Auburn in this one.
Southern Methodist University, Chad Morris's former team, favored by 8 on the road at South Florida. Shane Buechele has completed 2/3 of his passes, 7 touchdowns in the 4-0 start, and, of course, coming off the big win in the Iron Skillet over TCU. SMU rolling right now. I'm taking Shane Buechele and SMU. They'll cover 8 points at USF.
Baylor's getting 3 points at home against the visiting Iowa State Cyclones. Look, that's my dad's alma mater. I think I'm going to get to go to Baylor, Oklahoma later this year, get to watch that. You got 2 underrated coaches, Matt Rule, Matt Campbell. I'm taking Matt Rule. I think the Bears will win this one. I'm taking Baylor, and they're getting, again, 3 points. So even if they lose by 2, I'd still win the bet.
I probably shouldn't do it with a 38-point spread, but I'm taking Alabama to cover 38. That's because they've won the last 2 games against Ole Miss by 55 and 63 points. And their offense this year might be better than it was last year. I know defensively they might have a couple of issues here and there, but Ole Miss isn't even sure who's going to be a quarterback. I'm taking Alabama minus 38.
We talked a little bit about with Aaron Torres and just college game day, the fact that Gabrielle Union's going to be the guest picker for Nebraska. I think Nebraska covers. I don't necessarily think they win, and I know Ohio State has been lethal to this point. That offense looks great. Justin Fields has been phenomenal, but they're getting 17 points. Nebraska is. Scott Frost has made a living off being the underdog at UCF, and I know he hasn't had a lot of chances at Nebraska just yet, being in year 2, but the Iowa State Buckeyes always seem to choke a Big Ten road game. Game day's there. The atmosphere is going to be lively. I like Nebraska to cover, but not necessarily winning this one tomorrow, Phil.
Now, I'm going to take an over-under for my money ball, and it's the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. That's Washington State's offense and Utah's defense. The Cougs are 5th in scoring offense in the country, just under 53 points a game, but they're 82nd in scoring defense. Utah's 2nd best in the nation in preventing the run, but 60th in the nation in preventing the pass. The over-under is 56.5 points in Utah. I'm taking the over.
Good pick. We'll see what happens, bud. You need it. You need it this weekend.
I do. So which is your money ball? You picked yours was Ohio State and Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska. Sorry, I didn't mention that. That's my last pick. So Nebraska is my money ball team. We'll see what happens with them.
But Ty, I also noticed today is Crush a Can Day.
It is Crush a Can Day.
That means you're pretty close to crushing a can of Coors Light.
Exactly right. Cold filtered, cold packets, cold lager, cold everything. The entire process, it's freezing cold, and there is nothing better than an ice cold beer heading into the weekend. So whether you want to go by your favorite gas station, your favorite mart, your favorite bar, get you an ice-cold Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Phil, what do you always do when the mountains turn blue?
My friend, you go for 2.
Exactly right, my man. Coors Light, made to chill. Have yourself a great weekend with some Coors Light.
Our picks for Arkansas versus Texas A&M and a cherry on the top of halftime next on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
More halftime in just a moment.
It's the final weekend of the month, and it's a free weekend at World of Wireless. 877-305-DISH. Then all the extras are free this weekend.
Call WOW now, 877-305-DISH, or stop by the corner of Phoenix and Rogers as we finish off the month with a free weekend promotion. Here's all the great things you get for free. You get the free installation. You get the free HD service. You get the free Hopper installed absolutely free. You get 30 premium movie channels. That's movie channels free for the first 3 months. The voice remote, which we've talked about in the past. Free voice remote where you can just say, hey, find Julia Roberts movies, and it'll find it for you. you, along with the 2-year price guarantee. All that's for free, along with a $100 Visa gift card this weekend only.
DVR in every room, HD in every room. You won't beat the quality of the service with Dish.
That's right, but you got to come by World of Wireless, and we'll throw in the multi-sport pack free this weekend. And if you're a military and first responder, ask about additional movie channels and additional channels for free.
877-305-DISH. That's 877-305-3474 for the local guys on a free weekend at World of Wireless.
Right now, I'm holding a perfectly ice-cold Coors Light. You know how I know it's the perfect temperature? Because the mountain on the can is blue. And also, it's really cold. Every Coors Light is cold filtered, cold lagered, and cold packaged. Notice how many times I said cold? 3 times. It's that cold. So make sure the mountain on your can of Coors Light is blue, because that means it's ready to enjoy. 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Did someone say, I'm hungry? Visit 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge on the Avenue. Try the new panini sandwiches like the chicken pyro or the cubana or the signature 906 wings. Jumbo wings roasted with honey bacon jam. Want some spice? Try the black and blue wings. Experience their salads, flatbreads, coffees and desserts, top shelf wines and liquors, premium beers, world-class cigars, all in an atmosphere that feels less like a lounge and more like a destination. Sample, indulge, escape. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Treat your appetite on the Avenue.
It's the place there's no place else like. Home. It's the circle of chairs around your fire pit, where all the do you remembers get passed around like bowls of ice cream. It's bacon and eggs in the skillet, crackling along with the laughter. It's the picture in the hall of your great-grandfather, whose mustache he willed to your son.
At Shelter Insurance, we don't just insure your home, we insure all the memories that live inside it. Find an agent near you at shelterinsurance.com. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Ask Marcia Cox in Fort Smith or Phil Hicks in Greenwood about Shelter's home insurance.
Hi, folks. Larry Rath here for Rath Auto Resources. Thanks to everyone who chose Rath Auto Resources as a better way to drive, we've had a record summer. Now it's time to restock the lot. So all this month, we'll be giving up to $3,200 above appraised value for your trade. Even if you still owe money on it, we can help. With up to $3,200 extra for your trade, we can get you out of your old ride and into something nicer and newer now. Like these special purchase 2018 Hyundai Elantra SELs. Loaded with equipment, great looking, and Rath Road ready starting at only $13,991. If you're keeping the car you have, let us take care of it for you in the Meineke Car Care Center with buy 3, get 1 free on all tires and 50% off on brakes. Help me restock the lot and get up to $3,200 extra for your trade. Now at Arkansas's favorite used car dealer, Rath Auto Resources and the Meineke Car Care Center, a better way to drive. 4515 Towson Avenue, Fort Smith, or online at rathauto.com.
Requires bank approval. Vehicle purchase price affects trade allowance.
Arrow Bolt and Screw is Fort Smith's distributor of bolts, screws, fasteners, anchors, and much, much more. They have a wide variety, stainless steel inventory, and metric fasteners. This family-owned and operated business takes great pride in providing their valued clients with high-quality products at low, affordable prices. Arrow Bolt and Screw can be found at 5424 Wheeler Avenue in Fort Smith. That's Arrow Bolt and Screw. Call 646-0540. That's 646-0540. Arrow Bolt and Screw.
ESPN 95.3. Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Wide open in the middle of the field. Hayden inside the 20, inside the 10. Hayden's going to the house. The Hogs ran it right up the middle. Nobody was there. 38 yards. And the Hogs are a PAT away from tying this one up.
All right, it's time for our picks for Arkansas versus Texas A&M. I'll go first, and I think Arkansas will lose this game, but I don't see them able to, get close to about like 17 points perhaps. Remember, Texas A&M allowed 24 to Clemson, 28 to Auburn, two teams that have a lot more going offensively than Arkansas does. I'm looking at Texas A&M winning it by a score of about 35-17. What are you looking at, Ty?
We're pretty close, man. I got the Aggies winning this one 38-17. Texas A&M's a good team. They're not a great team. In order for that to make sense, they will not cover tomorrow. They're going to win by 21 instead of 24. So Arkansas loses, but A&M covers, Phil.
All right, we'll be with you tomorrow for Arkansas Game Day, bright and early at 6. Can't wait. You got Rusk and Zach coming up in a little more than an hour. So thanks for staying with us. We'll be with you next week. Get up, get out, get better.
What do you get when you pull into Tony's Tire Service?